Why, hello, it is I, Chris Brogan, here with today's version of the news. If you haven't seen this before, this is where I find interesting things that I'm reading and share them with you. I use Ecamm Live to put this together. You can make your own. Go to cbrogan.me/ecammlive to check it out. It's the best way to do Facebook Live for Mac. So, if you want to follow along, if you want to look at any of the links that I've created here for you, you can go to chrisbrogan.com/cbm and you can find all the links for this. That's for Chris Brogan Media. All the time that you're doing that, you get a chance to see all the details on the story so that if I gloss over something, if I miss something, if there's something else that you wanted to find out a little bit further, you get a chance to get a little bit more advanced information. This interesting article came out that says that evidently, according to at least Vladimir Putin, superpowers feel that artificial intelligence will be the next part of the global arms race. That's right. So United States, China, and then Russia a little bit further behind, thinking that artificial intelligence will be the new battlefield. So get ready for Skynet. Evidently, we are going to have a smart robots and AI kind of war. So I found that interesting. But, if you don't want to be too scared of AI, you can also learn that AI is also finding the best photos for Yelp. They look at things like color composition and depth of field to automatically pick what they think is going to be the best possible photo for Yelp. Kind of crazy, right? Hang on one second. So in this, I wanted to talk about, there's a really, really great plant-based alternative burger. It's the best one ever that I've ever had. It's called the Impossible Burger, but they're really hard to get, and evidently they're very scarce, and the production is really scarce. So this was some interesting news that plant-based startup Impossible Foods is going to open up a new facility to increase their production. So they now have a mega location to build up this kind of stuff. So this is going to be in East Oakland, and that way they can put out even more of these super yummy, delicious veggie burgers. And when I say that, I mean these are day and night to any other kind of veggie burger you have. These ones actually bleed when you cut them, etc. They just feel like a burger. So if you want some kind of a thing that takes up way less environmental footprint and it's yummy, check out the Impossible Burger. Evidently, you're going to get a chance to do that. But what if you're the other side of the spectrum? What if you're super allergic to things and you've ever had to go to a restaurant and grill people about whether or not this and that is included in the food that you're about to eat because of your really severe allergy? Well, if it's bad enough, you might want to consider this cool new thing, a keychain device that'll let you find out whether or not there are dangerous allergens in your food. Evidently, you can bring a little keychain testing kit to the restaurant. And before you think that's crazy, there's a lot of people who can go into anaphylactic shock based on what's in their food or not in their food. And so it might definitely be germane to those kinds of people who maybe want to stay alive when deciding to dine out, which can be kind of a nightmare. It makes it hard for you to survive if you're going out there to try to eat some foods and you worry about whether or not your future existence might actually happen. Next up in the news, if you think you use Excel in some strange ways or you've seen people use Excel in some strange ways, this person creates anime-style illustrations inside Microsoft Excel. So it takes about 4 or 5 hours to create these things inside Excel. I think it's kind of bizarre. You got to imagine, the boss is checking with the IT department to check your logs to make sure that you're working on work stuff. And of course, I've only got Excel open. But no, you are using Excel to create all kinds of manga-type images inside of Excel. That, to me, wins the prize on interesting ways to use something in a different way. This comes from Paul Bond. Paul Bond from Bricks Workwear, in Monaghan in Ireland. Paul said, this is a really interesting storytelling approach. So I won't go through the whole thing, but this is a website where this is a story being told via a calendar. So as you look along, there are different little updates. My guess is sort of like email messages or whatnot, but they're all put across calendar. So as you walk along, it just goes further and further through all of these different years. And it's a storytelling approach. Very interesting way to tell a story, especially as you kind of get deeper in, start to look at what the opportunities are or what's going down the line in that. It's just a crazy way to get a story told. Speaking about telling crazy stories, What if you've got no friends and you still want to tell stories? You can hire fake friends for your Facebook and your Instagram photos in Japan. That's right. Total loser? Hey, drop down your debit card and next thing you know, you can have friendly people to pretend that they're being kawaii and really enjoying your food. I like that this funny sample photo, which may or may not actually be an exact picture from this service, this guy who looks like he's the one who wanted the photo looks so sad and miserable anyway because he had to pay for his friends to show up in his photos. Yeah, maybe you don't need fake friends. Maybe you need cosplay friends. I don't know what it is, but evidently I'm quite interested in cosplay. I want to share these kinds of things. This one is from Dragon Con that just happened. There's a whole video if you want to come to chrisbrogan.com/cbm. You can watch the video with the music and all that. But it's just interesting to see that fans can come up with such amazing costumes and all that. It's just, all the work that gets put into these. This is a female, I think Reinhardt from Overwatch. If I get it wrong, I feel like a bad person. There's just all these variants of, and that's Junkrat, female version. That's the other fun thing about cosplay is you can decide you want to be somebody different than the original character and you can swap it up to what you want. This one here that I thought was really great, this is Luke Cage from the Netflix show Luke Cage. I felt like this guy looked a lot like him, and he's got that scene where he gets all shot up with the bullets and he's using the car door to protect himself. So why cosplay? Because I think it's interesting. Hey, are you colorblind? I never thought about this before, but evidently there's a childhood game that you couldn't play. Uno. Well, don't worry, colorblind people. Now there's an Uno version that, even though it still has the colors, allows you through shapes to understand what your friends are putting down. And so you can skip their turn and reverse your turn and all that using colorblind-friendly Uno cards. It's been hurricane season, and boy, at least in the United States, that's really taken up a lot of news cycles because there's a lot of people, dealing with devastation and all that. And I've been thinking a lot about, survival gear, survival bags, and all that. I just saw what the Federal Emergency Management Agency says you should put in your survival bag, and I disagreed. I thought it was spooky and weird looking. So I went looking to see what people I would care about would tell me, and this is from Loadout Room. So the Loadout Room's answer of what you should include in your personal survival kit. This is made by a bunch of former military people, but this is, civilian-ready stuff. And in his very small personal survival carry kit, this is like the most vital survival things he believes should go into the kit. And his name, by the way, is Scott Whitner. He's got mostly fire starting stuff to begin with. So his primary belief is that, you're going to need the opportunity to make some kind of fire. Hi, Paul. I mentioned your story, by the way. So stormproof matches, an exotic waterproof, Exotech waterproof shell for your lighter, a little bit of pine to get some fire started. That's his first set of things. Right after that, a nice, simple, foldable knife. This is a K-bar knife. It's a good, super high-quality knife, really durable and flexible, but the kind of thing that if you lost it, it wouldn't break the bank to replace it. A headlamp. I would not have thought of a headlamp in your survival bag, but there's a lot of times you're going to be in the dark, and there's a lot of times you're going to need light to do what you're doing. And, of course, this is good for signaling and that sort of a thing. A compass with a signaling mirror in it, because your GPS might not work. And a really simple, basic first aid kit. Now, I've seen kits with, a very big blown out first aid, which is awesome, and I think that's super important. But this happens to be just enough to fit in a very small mini pouch, and you could have this on you and on your person at all time. And I think that would be a very useful version of one of those kinds of kits. And ciao from a moving train in Italy. Wow, watching video from a moving train. I'm sure your people that are sitting there watching it with you are feeling a little frustrated for all that bandwidth you're chewing up their NAS. But hey, I'm so glad you're here. It needs tea bags. You know what? You're not entirely wrong, Paul. I would say that tea bags is good because even if you make drinking water potable, it doesn't mean that it's especially super great. And there's a difference between bog tea and bog tea, so you might want to fix that up. My very last story of the day is just an interesting trend is that Sprint has announced that they're going to launch its own in-house advertising agency. And so what's coming in this is that there's a lot of other companies who have taken on the trend of deciding to bring their in-house ad agency because they have the data, they think they can respond to it faster, and they feel like they can build programmatic ad buying and whatnot to handle this instead of going out to a third-party agency because it's their company and their information. They figure, why not be at the helm of that? I find that a very interesting change, obviously, and I wonder what agencies are going to do to continue to assert their value along the way. Hello, Linda, by the way. Linda, very glad that you're here. That's all the stories I have for you. If you want to catch up on them, or if you showed up a little bit late, go to chrisbrogan.com/cbm to check that out. Hopefully you'll find that very interesting. Also, if you want to make a show like this for yourself using Facebook for Mac, Facebook Live for Mac, you can go to cbrogan.me/ecamlive and you can make your own show. And yours would be even better than mine. And everybody is freaking out over the Equifax breach of data. Yeah, it's now as I'm starting to look into cryptocurrency and blockchain and Bitcoin and all that sort of a thing, you come across this kind of a data breach. These data breaches are going to be a lot more common. I think that there's a lot of interesting security news coming. These kinds of criminal strikes and all that right now, they still kind of are being told as if, you know, some kid in his bedroom is doing this, but governments are doing this. Cyber war is a real live thing, and it's on the rise. So that's how it goes. Thanks so much for your time. Glad you're here. Thanks, Clinton. Good to see you, too. Say hi to everybody I know. I'll catch you later. I'm Chris Brogan.